You will hear a telephone conversation between a student and an assistant in a job agency. You will see that there is an example which has been done for you. On this occasion only, the conversation relating to this will be played first.
Good afternoon, Rights Employment Agency. How can I help you?
Oh, hello. I'm calling to register with the agency. I'm looking for work.
Have you registered with us before?
No, this is my first time.
Okay, so shall we start by taking down some details? Can I have your name, please?
Yes, it's Helen Shepherd. That's Shepard.
Sheperd.
No, ARD.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I've got that.
The student gives her name and spells it out, so Shepherd has been written in the space. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Good afternoon, Rights Employment Agency. How can I help you?
Oh, hello. I'm calling to register with the agency. I'm looking for work.
Have you registered with us before?
No, this is my first time.
Okay, so shall we start by taking down some details? Can I have your name, please?
Yes, it's Helen Shepherd. That's Shepard.
Sheperd.
No, ARD.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I've got that. And your address?
18 Henley Street.
Is that in Milltown?
Yes. The postcode is MT4 7HV.
7HB?
No, V.
Okay, I've got that. And I need a contact number.
My mobile is 07945 76674. That's the best number to contact me on.
So, are you interested in full or part-time work?
Well, I will be looking for a part-time job in a couple of months when I start university, but at the moment I'm looking for full-time work. I left school last year and took a gap year before going to university. I'd like to work for the next 2 months and save some money before I go.
What did you do in your gap year?
I did some voluntary work for 6 months, and then for the last 3 months I've been travelling in Southeast Asia and Australia.
That sounds exciting.
Yes, it was fantastic.
So, I need to take down details of any work experience. You say you did some voluntary work? What did that involve?
I worked at a residential school for disabled children. I really enjoyed it. The children and the rest of the staff were fantastic. My degree course is in health and social care, so it really gave me good experience for that.
Yes, of course. Have you any other experience?
Well, I did a bit of waitressing work when I was at school, and I spent a summer working in the King's Hotel on West Street 2 years ago.
What were you doing there? Waitressing?
No, I was a chambermaid, cleaning the bedrooms.
Oh, yes. I did a bit of that when I was a student. Okay, that all seems fine. You've got some experience, which is good. Just a couple more questions. Do you drive?
Yes, I took my test last year, but I don't have access to a car, so I do rely on public transport.
That shouldn't be a problem. I'll just make a note of it here. No car. And I need to know exactly when you're available and whether you'll be able to do shift work. Early mornings, late nights.
I don't have a problem with early morning shifts. I'd prefer not to do night shifts, though.
And when would you be able to start?
Immediately, if necessary. The sooner the better.
Now answer questions 6 to 10.
I'll just check our database to see if we have anything suitable. Let's see. We have some hotel work here. The Highlands. Do you know it?
Is it the one near the Prior's shopping centre?
No, it's just off the ring road on the other side of town, near the leisure centre.
That's quite a distance for me. Is it cleaning work?
Well, I think it's a bit of everything. some cleaning, some waitressing and kitchen work. It would be shift work, but nothing later than 10. The hourly rate is £6.75 with meals provided.
That sounds reasonable, but I'd prefer something a little closer to home if possible, as that's a long journey for me.
Well, we also have 2 positions as carers. The first one is in a residential home for the elderly. It's on Hamilton Terrace, the Cedars Care Home.
Oh yes, I know where that is. It's only 10 minutes walk from my house.
Well, that's convenient then. They want someone with experience. I'm not sure if your experience with children would count. I could give the manager a ring and find out.
Do you know what the hours are?
Yes, it says here 5 shifts a week from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., including some weekends. There may also be some evening shifts available. The pay is not as good as the hotel job, only £6.10 an hour.
And the other one?
The other one is an interesting one. It's caring for a disabled lady in her own home in Poplar Street, helping her wash and dress and doing housework and shopping for her, that sort of thing. It's not full-time work, though, just 2 to 3 hours every morning. The pay is good, £6.80 an hour, and transport is provided.
I do like the sound of that, but I really need more hours. I think the care home sounds the most suitable.
We can arrange an interview for you if you like. I'll ring the manager now and find out when he can see you. Are you available this afternoon?
Yes, I'm free all day.
Section 2. You will hear someone giving a welcome speech at the opening of a new arts centre. Listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 15.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the new Midlands Arts Centre. We are delighted that so many of you have managed to brave the rain and come out tonight to help us celebrate the opening of this new facility. I'm here to tell you a little bit about the complex itself and show you what is on offer here. But first, a little background. It was well over 15 years ago now that the idea was born to create a centre of drama, music and art that would attract visitors from the local area and beyond. Our aim was to provide a place of entertainment for the whole family, which would also offer education and training opportunities to performers and artists from around the world as well as the local community. With the help of local businesses, we aim to offer annual grants to up-and-coming artists who might otherwise be unable to fulfil their dreams. As you will see when you look around, we already have an exhibition of 2 young local artists. You will find that in Exhibition Room B. I must admit I've never been a big fan of abstract art, but I was blown away by the exhibits on display by these talented youngsters. Exhibition Room A houses our other temporary display. This one includes sculpture made from recycled objects and a collection of film posters from the 1970s and 80s, a must for any film buffs out there. The Rees Gallery houses our permanent exhibits, which include a collection of historical photographs of the local area and work by local artists Gemma Brock and Giles Priestman. There will be guided tours every 15 minutes throughout the evening. For any budding young artists here this evening, we have a drawing workshop starting in 5 minutes with celebrated local cartoonist Andy Minot. Andy will be sharing some techniques for creating caricatures and showing some of his most famous works. You will find Andy at the back of the Rees Gallery, and all under 16s are welcome. There are many other events taking place this evening, but I haven't got time to go through all of them. Your programme will give you details. I've just picked out a few of the highlights. Later in the evening, there will be a performance from the Midlands Youth Band and Dale Park Youth Choir. This is the first time they have performed together, and I can guarantee that it is not to be missed. They are performing tonight in the Gilbert Theatre at 7 p.m, but don't worry if you missed that one. They will be on again at 8:45 p.m, this time in the studio. Be sure to get there in good time. Another important event tonight is a talk by local writer James Carver. He'll be discussing his series of historical crime novels and reading from his latest book, The Secret Stone. He will also be signing copies of his books. I know he has a lot of fans out there, so make sure you go along. The event starts in the studio at 7:30 p.m. Finally, the big event of the evening will be a performance by the award-winning Simon Bradford and his Jazz and Blues Band. Simon has recently completed a sell-out tour of Europe and has just released a new album. And we are delighted he has travelled all the way from his home in Canada for tonight's performance. His show and album have received fantastic reviews and I really can't wait for this. Be sure to be seated in the Moffat Hall in good time for the show. It starts at 9 p.m. and will be the final event of the evening.
Now answer questions 16 to 20.
Now, you should all have a programme with a plan of the complex. Please do have a good look around while you're here and make the most of the facilities. So, we're standing just by the main entrance and you can see the Moffat Hall at the back of the complex on my right. This is the main feature of the complex and seats almost 2,000. We hope this will become a world-class concert venue, and one glance at the forthcoming events gives a good indication of what we can look forward to in the coming months. By the way, if you wish to book for any forthcoming events, the box office, which is over here on my left, will be open all evening. There are 2 places to get refreshments. For light meals and snacks, you can try the Stage Door Cafe. You'll see that straight in front of us. It is open all day from 10 a.m. and serves snacks until 9 p.m. For something more substantial, you can try our Italian restaurant, which serves freshly prepared pizza, pasta and other classic Italian dishes. You'll find it on the left there next to the box office, and it's open from midday until 11 p.m. I ate there earlier, and the food is absolutely delicious. All the arts exhibits are to the right of the entrance. Access to the temporary exhibition rooms is around the back of the Rees Gallery. To get to these, go past the entrance to the gallery and turn right, and you'll see some double doors immediately on your right. As you go through the doors, Exhibition Room A is on your right and B is on your left. Our 2 theatres, the Gilbert and the Studio, can both be found over there towards the back of the building. You can see the studio, which seats 150, over there next to the cinema. Immediately to the right and behind the cafe is the 800-seater Gilbert Theatre. We hope that these 2 venues will be used by professional touring theatre companies as well as for local amateur productions. You will see as you enter the centre there is a gift shop directly on your right. This sells greetings cards, books and a variety of gifts, including paintings by local artists. Finally, I should just point out the cloakrooms. You will see the nearest are here on my left, and there are further facilities near the entrance of the Moffat Hall. Well, there's nothing more for me to say than to wish you all an enjoyable evening. If you have any questions, please do ask.
Section 3. You will hear a student and her tutor discussing her proposal for a presentation. Listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 25.
Right, Mel. You wanted to see me to get some feedback on your proposal and outline for your presentation. I've had a good look through now and I've made a few notes about areas I feel you can improve. I must admit, when I first saw the topic you had chosen, I was a little worried.
Really?
Yes, well, it can be difficult to produce something fresh and interesting when you take on a topic like climate change. So much has already been written about it and, well, it's not exactly original. But I have to say, I like the way you've approached the subject matter.
Thank you. Yes, I know it's a subject that has probably been chosen many times before, and that's why I decided to take a slightly different angle. I decided to base the presentation on an analysis of extreme weather and natural disasters over the last few years. There seems to be plenty of information on the topic, and I'll be able to include lots of visual material, photographs, graphs and so on.
Yes, I really like the idea, and you've produced a clear outline of the main points. Something I am a little concerned about, though, is the order you plan to use them in. I'm not sure it's entirely logical. I think that needs some rethinking.
Yes, I did wonder about that. Do you think the section on natural disasters should come later?
Yes, but that's not the only thing. Look, I've made some notes and suggested a possible order.
Yes, I see what you mean. I did wonder whether I needed to add a section about the recent flooding in parts of Europe.
Well, I think you should definitely mention it, but I'm not sure it needs its own section. What about including it in the introduction? In my opinion, the introduction is the weakest part. It needs much more substance.
Yes, I wasn't sure what to include.
Well, you need to grab your audience's attention at the start. And then you should include some background information on the topic and outline your main points.
And what's the best way of getting their attention?
Well, it could be a surprising or interesting fact, a picture or an anecdote.
Oh, I know. I found some fantastic pictures on the internet of the flooding. If I can find some statistics about it too, would that be a good way to start?
Absolutely. It will show the audience the relevance of your presentation and bring it right up to date. Remember to check the copyright and acknowledge your sources for any visual material you use.
Really? For pictures? I didn't realise I had to.
Yes, you should acknowledge all your sources in your bibliography and on your slides too.
Well, I've already started my bibliography.
Yes, I looked at that.
Is there a problem?
Not exactly. It's good to see you're taking a note of your sources, but there's so many of them, and I'm not sure about the validity of some of these internet sources.
How do you mean?
Well, take this graph you found about rainfall.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't you find a more reliable source? This is taken from someone's blog. You need to make sure all your information is from trusted sources, academic papers, scientific journals, that sort of thing.
Okay. And I need to cut the number of entries in my bibliography?
Only include the sources you actually use and refer to in your presentation. I would say no more than about 10 for this assignment.
Now answer questions 26 to 30.
OK, so you're happy with the organisation and content. Plenty to work on there. Now, I believe you had some questions about the actual delivery of the presentation.
Yes. Well, it's more the technical side of things, really. I'm not very confident with the equipment, and I've never given a presentation before, so I'm really nervous.
Well, I think the best way to overcome your nerves is by preparing really thoroughly. Make sure you know the subject matter inside out, and that any visual aids and equipment are ready.
Yes, I wanted to ask about that. I'm getting a friend to help me put together the slides. Have you any advice about that?
The one thing I would say is don't put too much information on your slides, just the main points and any relevant visuals. You want your slides to support what you're saying. And I would also keep the slides themselves very simple, no fancy colours or animation that will distract the audience from what you're saying.
No sound effects then?
No, definitely not. And what you need to do is practice. You'll feel far more confident if you've run through it a few times with a friend.
My friend is going to listen to me run through it.
On the actual day of the presentation, there are a few important things to remember. First, think about where you stand. It's vital that you position yourself centrally and make eye contact with your whole audience. Don't forget the people sitting at the sides. If you smile and look friendly, it will make your audience feel relaxed too. And don't fidget and move around too much. It can be very distracting.
What about my slideshow? I'll need to be near the computer to move the slides forward.
Have you thought about using a wireless mouse or keyboard? That will really help. It means you can control the slideshow without having to move or turn your back on the audience every time you change slides.
That's a good idea. I hadn't thought of that.
The other thing to remember is that when we're nervous, we tend to speak more quickly. So make a real effort to speak calmly and clearly so that your audience understands you and doesn't feel rushed.
What about memorising the talk? A friend told me she did that for her presentation, but I don't think she did terribly well.
No, it's not a very good idea. It will make you sound unnatural. And don't read from a prepared speech because that will also affect the delivery and stop you making eye contact. Why don't you try using cue cards? You can include all the main points and any key facts or numbers as a memory aid. It will sound far more natural.
The other thing I'm a little worried about is questions from the audience. Should I answer them immediately or wait till the end?
The best thing to do is tell the audience in the introduction that you will answer their questions at the end of the presentation. That way you won't get any distracting interruptions. If you're not sure about the answer, ask the questioner to repeat the question. That will give you thinking time. You could always direct the question back to the questioner or the audience, asking them what they think.
Great. Oh, thanks for all your advice. It's been really helpful.
No problem. I'm looking forward to your presentation.
Section 4. You will hear part of a lecture about text messaging. Listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 37.
Good morning, everyone. I've been invited here today to talk a little about the research I've been doing into quite a modern form of communication, text messaging. I'm sure most of you here today will have already sent and received at least one text message today. It has become the most popular form of communication between friends and family, despite strong competition from social networking and email. We now send around 8 trillion text messages every year, which is amazing when you think that the first text message was only sent in 1992. Over half of British people now use a smartphone, and of those, over 92% choose texting as their preferred method of communication. And well over half of British people text every day, compared to only 47% who make a daily phone call. That's about 50 texts a week for the average person, which might sound a lot, but is comparatively few compared to other parts of the world. Unsurprisingly, it is young people who send the most texts. Amongst 18 to 25-year-olds, the average is 133 messages a week, which is more than double any other age group. And whilst 15% of the over 65s say they communicate by text on a daily basis, for the youngest age group, this figure rises to 9 out of 10. And it is this age group who prefer to message friends compared to the older generation whose main text recipients are family members. Apparently, men text more than women do and have a larger number of contacts that they regularly text, but they tend to be more functional in their texting and keep their texts short. Compare this to women who send fewer texts but are more likely to send long ones in which they cultivate friendships and relationships. More than half of women questioned are happy to discuss relationship issues and even express their love through a text message. For many of you, a time without text messaging might seem a dim and distant memory. In fact, it was back in December 1992 that the first ever text message was sent via the Vodafone telephone network from a PC to a telephone. The message was a simple greeting, "Merry Christmas." The original idea was to use texting as a quick and easy way to communicate within a company, a bit like paging. In fact, it wasn't until 1994 that the first commercial text messaging service was introduced by a mobile network, and even then, consumer interest was very low. It was not until 1993 that the first text messaging service was launched in Sweden. A year later, Vodafone introduced texting to the UK. At first, texters were only able to text someone within the same network, and it wasn't until 1999 that there was full compatibility between mobile networks. At first, texting was quite a long and laborious task,
as predictive texting was not introduced until 1995. Another characteristic of early texting was that each message had to be short, at 160 characters or fewer. This limitation on length is what spawned the common shorthand used by texters the world over. Abbreviations like BTW for by the way and TTYL for talk to you later have now entered the English language for good, whether we like them or not. Fears that this text speak would have an adverse effect on children's language skills have so far proven incorrect. In fact, a recent study has shown that children who are fluent in text messaging have higher than average literacy skills compared to those who don't text. Now answer questions 38 to 40. In the early days, it would have been difficult to imagine what a versatile communication tool text messaging would become. Think about what you can use texting for. For my research, I asked a sample of people of all ages about the text messages they had sent and received on a given day. Apart from the normal social chit-chat, it was clear that our reliance on text messaging for everyday tasks is growing. In one day, respondents to my survey used texting to track a parcel being delivered, to vote on a TV talent show, to check the status of a plane, to give money to charity, to remind them of a dentist's appointment, to confirm a hotel booking, to enter a TV contest. The list goes on and on. Texting has also been responsible for spreading information and organizing revolutionary activity. And there have been numerous accounts of how text messaging has saved lives, including the doctor in a remote part of Africa who saved a child's life by following instructions sent by text. But let's not forget the downside to text messaging. This type of communication has also brought us cyberbullying and has added to the dangers on the road. There has been a notable increase in recent years of road traffic accidents caused by inattention by both drivers and pedestrians whilst texting. So what about the future? Well, with new ways of communicating appearing all the time, the future of the traditional text message seems uncertain. What is certain, though, is that the text message has made an indelible mark on modern communication.